I'm Julia Adolphe. I'm a composer, and welcome to LooseLeaf NoteBook. LooseLeaf NoteBook is a podcast I've created to have a safe space to talk about mental health and its relationship to creativity. I've been sharing my personal experience with my own generalized anxiety disorder, as well as talking about my creative process and trying to uncover the often misunderstood connections between mental health and creativity. The series consists of solo reflections and interviews where I feature guests who can speak beyond my own personal experience to talk about how racism, xenophobia, homophobia all impact our mental health and the psyche, as well as how parenting during the pandemic or just being a caretaker really affects our ability to care for our mental health and work as creatives. This project really started as a way for me to keep my own sanity during the pandemic, as I saw all of my concerts and premieres being canceled or postponed. This really was just initially to serve as an outlet for myself, but I've been really moved to see how it's grown. And I'm of course thrilled to be partnering with New Music Box now. And I hope that we can begin talking about mental health in earnest in our universities and our conservatories and at the professional level. My own personal experience with anxiety began when I was about 9 years old, which was also when I started hearing melodies in my head and asked my parents if they could get me a keyboard. I noticed very early on that when I was at the piano kind of playing and dreaming and singing, that a lot of my anxiety would sort of dissipate in that moment. And it really became a place of healing for me and a place of distraction, a place of play and fun. This worked for a while, but as I became more and more serious about music and seeing it as a career path, the anxiety started to invade the creative play space. I started experiencing panic attacks when I was 19, which is actually a typical age for mental health disorders to first appear. And I remember that I was in a lesson with my composition professor, Stucky. I was trying really hard to kind of keep it together and not let my anxiety kind of show in my face and body. I was in the midst of explaining the music that I was writing, and I was really struggling to articulate my thoughts because I was distracted by how anxious I was. And I remember Steve Stucky, he interrupted me and he said, "Julia," he took a breath and he looked at me in the eye and he said, "Please take care of yourself." He made it clear that I could leave the lesson, that I didn't have to answer any questions, that I wasn't going to get in trouble. He made it clear that my mental health was more important than my musical studies, and that he was not going to judge me. At the time, I was incredibly mortified because of the headspace that I was in, but I was also incredibly relieved. I can't even express how important that kind of support is, especially from a professor or a mentor, an artist that you admire. I know so many people who have struggled with their mental health whose teachers have not known or not noticed or not been supportive even when they did find out. After that lesson, I was able to ask for help from the university, and I was able to go to the school psychologist, and I just want to be able to provide that for others if possible, just to let you know that you're not alone, that we all struggle with our mental health in some way. So I hope that LooseLeaf Notebook will be a safe space where we can talk about therapy, medication, self-care, all kinds of practices, because there are so many that help us really feel safe, able to be vulnerable, able to be courageous, and able to make our art. Lastly, there is no shame in asking for help, and help can exist in many forms. Thanks for listening.